Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the King of Average podcast with Malik
Your boy BB.
and today we have a very, very exciting topic, and it is bet on what you believe. So, as we are kind of discussing on some of the stuff to talk about, we kind of both kind of came to the conclusion that confidence needs no reason. Now, when you think of that, you're like, okay, what do you mean by that? When a person's confident in their own ability to perform certain tasks, to hold themselves accountable, or just to make sure that, hey, look, anything happens, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to succeed in it, or at least I'll be able to take control and get either myself or the person that we're leading to the place that we need to be. But I think that when confidence comes into play, it will take you to whichever destination that you need to go to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think sometimes confidence could literally come off as irrational.
Mm.
Sometimes the most illogical thing is the option that you're choosing, but you're like, you know what? We're going to make it work somehow, some way. And maybe like an example I can think of is, let's say, for example, you're at the farmer's market, right? Or you're working a convention, whatever the case is, and you're like, okay, how can I talk to the next 100 people for me to get 30% of them, 30 out of 100 people to buy something from me? And somebody might be like, oh, well, analytically speaking, that's not how numbers work, and typically your yield is going to be a lot lower. It's like, I don't care. I don't care about the logic. I don't care about the reason. I don't care about the rationale. All I care is that this is what we need to get done, so we're going to get it done. And confidence needs no reason. And how many situations have you seen or have you been in? Sometimes you're that guy. Sometimes you're looking at that guy where you're like, dude, it's not going to work no matter what you try. It's not going to work. And they're like, watch. And somehow they always manage to pull through and make it work.
Yeah, they pull it
I
off.
love it. I love it. And so you literally sit there and you're just like, wow, like I admire the result, but above all, I admire that confidence.
Yep.
That was crazy.
And
How to just pull that out of the bag, I don't even know.
and then eventually what you'll notice is that people start gravitating towards you or a person that's confident. Like, to use an example, a personal example, I used to work at Enterprise and I was a manager at one point. And at Enterprise, I remember it being like towards the holidays. And for those who have tried to book a car through like a rental agency like Enterprise or Hertz, y'all know that if you guys book something last minute, you probably won't get a car. So it's not that we're holding back, it's just that we're really that busy. So I remember we have a whole bunch of reservations. It's a Friday, it's busy. We're getting a whole bunch of like last minute rentals that we cannot fulfill. People are inside the lobby, they're waiting for their car that they just booked maybe 2 minutes ago. Everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong. I remember one time my coworker was like, she pulled me to the side and we started talking, and she was freaking out. She was not having it at all. She was like, Malik, what's going on? The lobby, the customers, they're mad, but there's no cars. How are we going to get cars? All this other stuff. She literally looks at me, she pauses. She was like, how are you not freaking out right now?
That's my favorite thing in the world.
How are you not freaking out? Thing about it though is, like, at the end of the day, if I freak out, we still have the problem that's right in front of us. And guess what? I didn't freak out. I stayed calm. I was very confident in my ability. And guess what? Everything worked out at the end of the day.
Even though it seemed like completely irrational and completely illogical.
I swear, if you were to be in my position with angry customers in a lobby, people really want to go on their trip, or, oh, you ruined my family vacation, even though they booked it like a minute ago, right? Like, thanks for planning it ahead, buddy. I'm the reason why I did it.
Clearly your family's really important to you.
Yeah, clearly. At Turo Mustafa BB, I got us some bourbon. But that's what it was. I had the confidence. Now, I didn't have the answer to exactly how I was going to, fulfill all the customers' reservations, but I tried. I believed in myself, I believed in my team's ability, and I led them all to a good day. At the end of the night, when we all clocked out, we had that huge sigh of relief. We all had confidence in ourselves. Like, we were just put through the trenches and we came out like victorious.
Yeah, it was a boost of morale.
We still lived. When we felt like we're all gonna die, quote unquote, right? We're all, oh my God, what? At the end of the day, when there's all quietness, you look at yourself and you gain a lot of confidence in yourself and your ability. So next time, if anything happens, you're like, you know what? At the end of the day, everything will work out.
Yeah, and like I said, it boosts morale because you're like, yo, what we just went through and the way we pulled it off, what's the next challenge?
Yeah.
What's the next challenge? And something I always notice when in like situations where somebody, needs to appear confident or somebody appears confident, you realize something we talked about a little bit where I think you were explaining that somebody who tries really, really hard to look confident, they end up over explaining, right? They end up what did we mention? What did we mention? Somebody who like tries to, they really try to show you their alpha. They really try to prove something to you.
Yeah.
But in a situation of somebody who genuinely is confident, someone genuinely does have that confidence, chances are their actions are not backed up by a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And their words, although are very simple, are backed up by a lot of action.
Yep.
Right? And so I notice a lot of situations where somebody is they're trying to be confident and they'll just be like, okay, this is what I want. And then they'll have that moment of hesitation within them. And they'll be like, this is what I want because I think it's good for me. It's like, dude, there is no explanation necessary. If that's what you want, that's what you want. If this is what you know is good for you, then you know it's good for you. You have to have that ability to literally know what you need, know what you don't need, and then just have the courage to say no. Have the courage to say yes. Have the courage to demand what you know is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence needs no reason. There is no explanation necessary. You demand what you want, right? Like for example, for you, that day in enterprise or those days in enterprise, you demanded patience from the customers. You didn't necessarily overpromise, but you definitely delivered on what they were looking for, right? But you demanded their patience and you demanded solutions from what? From your team.
Mm-hmm.
You demanded solutions from, I don't know, maybe your superiors, right? You demanded a solution from a different branch because maybe they had a spare car that you could use, right? And they don't need to call you up and be like, "Oh, but why do you need it?" No, that's it. You're asking for something. You're asking for something.
Yeah, check my reservations.
You have that confidence. You don't need to explain it. Just flipping send it.
Mm-hmm.
Just push through, chin up, chest up. Every time I think chin up, chest up, actually it's the funniest experience. The first time I ever had Nobu, it was super random. But me and Cameron were chilling. It was one day after work. It was late. We're just like, dude, let's just capture the vibe, Let's just hang out, And we end up in Newport Beach, where like that Lido house is, and that like that little nice little walk with the shops and stuff like that. And we end up like kind of like walking behind the seating area of Nobu. And we're clowning around. We troll 24/7, especially when we're together. And like the kitchen door from the back was open, like it was just cracked open. And we're like joking, oh haha, I pulled it open a little bit, acting like I was gonna go in. And then we laugh about it for a second, and then Gavin tells me something. He goes, dude, honestly, if you think about it, no matter what you walk into, no matter where you walk into, even if you don't belong, if you walk in with your chin up and your chest out, nobody's gonna ask questions. And I was like, bruh, say less. And so I just walk right into the kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. Not to the kitchen. Not to the I'm just kidding.
What are we doing on table 3?
Where's that order? The steak is not cooked right.
It's raw.
No, but right then and there, I was just like, all right, bet, say less. I literally stuck my head up, put my chin up, stuck my chest out, and I walked right into Nobu. And mind you, the reason why like I'm making such a big deal out of this is because I used to work at the gym at the time. So I'm literally dressed as a gym bum. You know what I mean? And he's working in the warehouse, right? So he's dressed as a bum. And both of us just walk into this place like we own it, And then out of nowhere, we're just chilling. We're walking in, and we're just like, you know what? No, let's sit down and eat. So we just straight goes right up to the hostess, and she's like, "Hi, what can I do for you today? Do you have a reservation?" We're like, "No, we want to sit at the sushi bar." Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let me set you up right now. And then boom, she sets us up, and that was my first Nobu experience.
Nice.
And it's such a small example, but for some reason, every time I think of the idea of like walking into a place with confidence, demanding respect, and there's the whole idea of simply how your physical demeanor can completely change the way you mentally see things. It can completely change your attitude towards something. Literally walking into a spot with your chin up, with your chest out, broad shoulders. You don't have to flex, you don't have to look like you're really holding back a fart, but just walk in with good posture, walk in with that confidence. People will see it, and you don't even need to demand respect at that point. People will start giving it to you, and I think it's super awesome. It's super effective.
When you have confidence in yourself, you'll notice, or maybe you won't, but other people notice for sure that you move different. That whenever you walk into a room, you have a certain presence to yourself that is unexplainable. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it, but based on that experience with enterprise, with how you as a personal trainer, a couple times you said that like you had to just basically suck it up, just go ahead and do it, talk to the customer, get the customer to get on board. Eventually, at the beginning, it sucks. You start overthinking everything. But then, little by little by little, as you start doing it over and over and over again, putting yourself in the same situation over and over and over again, that situation just becomes another moment. Long story short, you got to get your reps in. Once you start getting your reps in, then any other challenge that comes your way is not at level 10. It's not the highest level anymore. Whenever you allow yourself to be in tough situations, the next situation that you're in will not seem as bad as it is.
No, getting your reps in is actually just a beautiful point. It's huge, and it can be applied to all aspects too. But one thing I wanted to mention was because you were saying that when you have those traits of confidence and you walk in different, and people start to notice, what do we know? Confidence is attractive. So you can literally make yourself appear more attractive just by walking a certain way, just by improving your posture, just by demanding respect, just by being clear with what you want, being confident in what you say, and people will just gravitate towards you, like you said. But getting your reps in is just an awesome idea to always have in your mind, because what it does is it gives you it gives you kind of like a sense of comfort with the whole risk factor, because most people are not risk takers, right? Some people naturally just have that dog in them where they're just like full send every single time. But then the majority of people, they want to overcalculate things, they want to overthink things, and they're just like, yo, like, what if it doesn't work? What's the chances this happens? How bad could it go? But when you start getting your reps in, how's I gonna connect it to? Basically, when you have the idea, like, let me just get my reps in, the entire risk factor becomes justifiable in a sense, right? Because even though it's high risk, I lost it again. Dang it.
High risk, high reward.
No, I had a good connection between the two. Ugh. Darn. It was something along the lines of, okay, you justify the high risk because wow, Asad is in 20 minutes. Subhanallah. It completely just left me. I love it. Whatever. It's fantastic. We'll come up with a new point anyways, because yeah. But yeah, when you get your reps in, you really justify the risk because you start to understand, hey, there's going to be a risk involved anyways. There's going to be a risk involved anyways. And let me find out. You adopt the concept of getting your reps in, and you find out, hey, here I am overthinking how there's like high risks, whatever the case is. I'm really worried about the result. But when you start getting your reps in, you start to realize what? Hey, the risk is not as bad as I thought it was, right? So adopting this concept of getting your reps in, yes, it does help build confidence, because with every repetition, you're going to learn more, which means you can apply more, which means you can almost guarantee a better outcome every single time. But getting your reps in also gives you the confidence in realizing, hey, I'm not going to die at the end of this if it goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So might as well try.
And look, by no means am I saying that if you move with confidence, you are 100% always going to win. You're going to fail at times. There are going to be some losses. But guess what? The next time you come across a certain thing after a loss, that loss is going to be counted as honestly a lesson. So next time you can like look at yourself in the mirror, you can evaluate exactly what went wrong and then make it right next time. So the whole thing of L is for lesson. It's not for a loss. So yeah, go ahead and take that L. But look, you put yourself in a vulnerable position. You put yourself in a position where a lot of people shy from. They don't want to be in this position. They don't want to come off as a person that failed, or the person that comes off as almost like a fool. You did it. And next time that you're in a position, put you and the other person that keeps on shying away from different opportunities like that, you will outshine them. You will outwork them. You will be in a better position to succeed at that goal than them. So L, go ahead and take that L, man. It's a lesson. Learn from it and grow.
Oh yeah. Similar to like developing the perspective of getting your reps in, you have to develop the perspective that with every rep, you're not guaranteed success. Just
Yes.
like you said. With every rep, chances are you are going to fail at times and you're going to succeed at
But
times.
that shouldn't have to hold you back, though.
100%. And the funny thing is obviously whatever we're talking about, most of what we like to talk about really applies to business. It applies to work. If you have a sales job, it applies for you as well. But one thing you have to realize is the whole idea of like life being full of hills and valleys. One thing you have to realize is that even though you might be going through a steep downhill, it just seems like bad luck, one thing after another, just all going to crap, all in a row. One thing you have to realize is nobody's gonna sit there and say, hey, tell me how you feel emotionally and I will sympathize by giving you solutions. I don't know what kind of a situation that would ever work. But the reality of the situation is if you're going to dwell on it and you're going to get emotional, which is a very, very natural reaction for all of us. It's human nature. It's human nature. But you have to, in the middle of that dwelling, and obviously it's like I said, it's a natural reaction, which means it's hard to avoid. It's not something you can simply just go, I'm not going to be emotional. No, you probably have to go through the emotions first for you to then recognize, hey, yo, I'm just deep in emotion right now and I'm not focused on solutions. That's when you have to be like, okay, put a stop to it, and then pull yourself out. Pull yourself out of that depth. One of the oldest quotes that I remember was, it's quite simple. I don't even remember where it's from, but it was quite simply, quit dwelling on the problem and start looking for the solution. And that applies to everything. If you can imagine the amount of times, like I had to think of that quote when I was in college. I'll never forget I like towards the end of like my college years, I really started to learn things about my body that I had absolutely no idea of before, because I started to really learn how I deal with stress. And I remember, like, in one of my last semesters, here I am, like, taking all these, like, upper division courses and stuff like that for kinesiology. And I had, like, in, like, 3 classes, I had as, like, a final project, I had to write back-to-back essays.
Oof.
2 of them were due like in the same week. And you're talking about, I'm not talking about like, we're talking about upper division courses. So these essays were like 10-page minimum, 2,000 words. Oh, by the way, you need to cite, 8 to 10 sources. And I'm telling you, I started to learn things about how my body deals with stress I never knew before. And one of the things I became really, really worried about was this. I would clench my jaw. And I've never done this before in my life. I've never had issues in my sleep, none of it. But because of the stress I was going through with these back-to-back essays, I would literally notice myself, my jaw would be sore in the middle of the day. And it got to a point where I legit, like, I would taste blood and I would feel like my teeth are about to fall out. But once again, it was one of those things where I sat there and I looked at what needed to be done. And I was like, dude, nobody's going to ask about your jaw, right? Even if you go to a dentist and you're like, oh, this is what my concern is, he's not going to be like, cool, I'm going to do your essays for you just to relieve you from some stress. So dwelling on it and going through the emotions, if you need to go through the emotions once again, just to like get it off your chest a little bit, by all means.
Yeah, be healthy about it.
Be healthy about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna help your mental health. If you're one of those people who literally need to shove a pill in your face and scream as loud as you can because that's gonna relieve a few moments, by all means. If you have a close person who you can open up to a little bit, by all means. But once again, you have to recognize when you're in the middle of that emotional phase, you have to recognize, stop, pull myself out of it, because once again, nobody's going to do it for me. And this failure is going to be just another lesson.
Yep.
In the long run.
When you're going through it, anxiety is striking your body and you're feeling all these emotions and all these negative thoughts are pouring into yourself. You're breathing. It's like you're running a marathon. You start breathing heavy, fast. Your heart is bumping. You're literally sweating for no reason and you're just sitting down. You're like doing nothing physical whatsoever. You start freaking out. Your adrenaline's pumping. But at that moment, man, like, breath control is so important. I know it's one thing that we don't typically realize, right? Breathing is one of those things that we just naturally do, like blinking and so on and so forth. Breathing will legit calm you down in the majority of the situations that you go through.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, the number one thing that happens to people when they freak out is what? It's a panic attack. And then to put my kinesiology degree to use a little bit right here, what ends up happening during a panic attack is you notice people start to go, right? And what ends up happening basically is because of the way they're breathing and the fact that they keep feeling like they're out of breath, so they keep taking in oxygen, it literally changes the chemistry of their blood, and then it's gonna cause you to start having it's gonna make your heart race more, which is gonna really affect the panic attack even more. But what it's also going to do is it's going to start making you dizzy, right? Because too much oxygen can really kind of just get you high, almost not really high, but like you can get
Lightheaded.
It gets you lightheaded. Absolutely, you'll start getting dizzy. And typically in stressful situations, when people get to panic attacks, right? And so in stressful situations, when you recognize the position you're in, that's when you have to really focus on some of that breath control or birth control. Really focus on some of that breath control in order that you can calm yourself down. It's actually kind of crazy. I have literally no sources except for one time my brother Muhammad told me. But apparently there was like tribes back in the day, there are probably still some tribes now, where they literally had the ability, whether it was through breath control, whether it was through just focusing on their body, they were able to literally change their heartbeat and sometimes even voluntarily make their heart stop beating, right? Craziest thing in the world, right? And once again, I have no sources, so I could be completely pulling this out of my pocket. But nonetheless, the reality is you have such a physical effect from just focusing on your breath. And there was another point I wanted to mention, which I'm now forgetting, which is fantastic. Before we get into like an actual exercise that will help. Oh, how breath control relates to confidence. Because breath control is going to be good in terms of like calming you down in a stressful situation, but we're talking about confidence here.
Well, when you're confident, you typically come off as calm.
Yes. So when you're able to focus on your breathing and you're able to calm yourself, one of the things that I notice is huge is when I start stressing out, like my lower abdominal, I really start to like tighten it. And like all that tension builds right there, and then like it goes from there to the rest of my torso, to my arms. I really start to like, and then veins are popping out of my neck and my forehead. But one of the ways you can definitely appear more confident is appearing more calm. One of the ways you can control how calm you appear is by focusing on your breath work. So one of the exercises we're going to try together for the vibes is the very simple but very, very effective it's going to be 4 seconds in, a 4-second hold, and then 4 seconds out. So when you breathe in, you're going to count to 4 as you're breathing in the air. You're going to hold it for 4 seconds. And believe it or not, when you're holding it for 4 seconds, especially when you get to like 2-3 reps down the line, you're going to start to feel a little bit dizzy, which is good, which is fine. And then when you're breathing it out, it's going to be 4 seconds as well. So it's literally going to be in, out. I didn't say hold because I was going to let out some air if I said hold, so I was trying to just keep it in. But that's a very, very simple exercise if you notice you're in a place of stress. If you notice, hey, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit down, a little bit depressed, a little bit stressed, whatever the case is, go through a simple breathing exercise like that, and it will help at least put you in the right mind state to at least get the next thing done, to at least take one more step forward. And with that being said,
Well, look, another thing.
I got it.
Okay,
No,
go
actually,
ahead.
go ahead. Because I remember my point now.
No, I want you to say it.
Hopefully, I don't forget it.
I want you to say it right
You
now.
know your point. You're solid in yours.
I'm good.
So there's been huge studies lately about the whole idea of like an ice bath. And everybody knows when you get into an ice bath, or if you accidentally turn on the cold water in the shower, or if somebody turns on the other shower in the house and all of a sudden your shower goes cold, your immediate physical reaction is to completely tense up. It's almost like you flex every muscle in the body. And basically what ends up happening is, like I said, there's a lot of studies being done about ice baths right now. And there's this idea where when you spend literally 3 to 4 minutes is all it takes for you to get the full benefit consistently.
Yeah, but in an ice bath, 3 to 4 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But what ends up happening is, because for those 3 to 4 minutes, you're just completely tensing up and your body's trying to fight the entire time. The moment you get out of the ice bath, the moment you get out and all of your muscles relax and your body is finding that state of equilibrium again because it's no longer in that stressful situation, the amount of endorphins that your brain releases has obviously a physical but also a very strong mental effect on how you feel. Obviously a mental effect because they're endorphins, right? They're literally the happy hormones. So in a situation where you are stressed and you find yourself tense and you literally feel, like I said, your abdominals crunching or your arms are tensing up or your neck is bulging, and you start focusing on those breathing exercises, and you literally make your body calm down, you're gonna have a very similar effect, because you went from really, really tense and just holding all of a sudden to completely relaxed. And so you're going to have that similar effect. And once again, why do we care for that similar effect? Because we need to know how to put our mind in the right state in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Release some of those endorphins, get some breathing exercises in, and figure out how to just clear your head for a second in order that the path is no longer foggy.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
I was gonna say that, like, look, at the end of the day, like, betting on what you believe does fall heavily on confidence, on your own abilities, on your own goal and what you want. So I guess, like, you got 2 steps. One is decide the type of person that you want to be, and then second is prove it to yourself with small wins. Whether you want to be a writer, an engineer, a businessman or woman, so on and so forth. You say you are that person, but prove it to yourself. Now, I didn't say large wins. Those large wins, those large doubles, they're going to happen.
That's a long-term thing.
But focus on now. Focus on the short little wins. Those short wins will get you through it, because it's the whole thing of, like, the valleys and the peaks and this and that. They're not always going to be wins out there. You're going to be having a lot of lessons. While you're going through those lessons, your mental state, your confidence is going to be in question. You're going to question your own ability. Now, when you constantly give yourself small W's from here and there, that's going to get you going. So when you do come across a challenge or a lesson, you're able to put yourself through and enter that lesson with a nice, or positive, I should say, mindset, a healthy mindset, in order for you to conquer that task. And
I love that. Focus on the small wins.
that's what it is.
Focus on the small wins. That's huge.
I feel like we always focus on the large wins. We're always trying to focus on getting to $1 million, getting the Rolls Royce, getting the mansion. But it's like, okay, cool. That's all admirable. But what do you need to do in order for you to get there? You're not going to make $1 million just in a second. And even if you did, it took how long of planning? And before the planning, how much experience and research and everything else that goes into it? All that happened was basically for you to prep yourself for that moment. So when that opportunity came, you capitalized on it, and you were able to succeed. You're able to do that. You're able to get the mansion. You're able to get whatever goal it is. That large dub. You need basically that large dub happens from a huge pile of small wins. Those small wins carry it on all the way through, and they all pile up together in order for you to achieve the main slice, or you get the actual pie.
I like that. I like that a lot, because it's like you got to imagine the small wins are like the bricks. You got to stack one small win on top of the other in order for you to build that mansion.
Yeah.
Another way this applies perfectly is just the simple idea of scalability. And the way I always picture it is, how nice would it be if, like, let's say, for example, you had an operation. Let's take, for example, your family's operation. You got a decent sized kitchen, right? How nice would it be if you owned that whole building and that was part of your operation, right? That'd be fantastic.
That would be dope.
That'd be something you'd be proud to walk into every day. That'd be something worth showing off to everybody. But the fact of the matter is your dad started with what?
A garage.
With a garage. From the garage, got a single unit in that shopping center, right? From there, what did he do? He built the cooler within it. From there, he was like, oh, the spot right next to me is open. I'm taking that spot too. So he literally started from the garage and then found ways to expand. So the fact of the matter is the operation I always think about in my head is like, let's say, for example, you're running some sort of a business, some sort of an operation. It can be a service-based, it can be a product-based. To make things easy, let's think of a product-based. And you have this one cool product idea, and you have a little bit of success with it, but all of a sudden you imagine yourself, you're like, yeah, I want to be able to operate out of like this 100,000 square foot facility, and I want 80 people working under. Dude, slow down. Same thing. Build the product first. Ship it out of your garage. Get yourself a small warehouse. Once you scale up to where you need the next size up, that's when you're going to get it. But the fact of the matter is if you keep focusing on these big lucky wins, right? These huge gambles, as if something huge is supposed to land in your lap every other day, you're never actually going to make it. But that small win, one after the other, from the garage to a warehouse, to a bigger warehouse, to a bigger warehouse. All of a sudden, I have 3 warehouses. All of a sudden, look at Kareem, Adam's brother, mashallah. Homeboy apparently is operating 7 warehouses around the country. You know what I'm saying? And it all started from what? Him fixing paddle boards in his garage. And so it's dope. You have to count the small wins. You have to focus on the small wins in order that they can really build up, like you said. The only other significant idea when it pertains to confidence is get your physical fitness up. Get your physical fitness up. And once again, you're not going to go into the gym and know everything. So get your reps in. The gym is actually it's the prime example of the idea of getting your reps in. It's the prime example because you start to notice, okay, I want to get big tomorrow. Well, guess what, homeboy? It's not going to happen. You literally have to. The way I always like to see fitness is pretty cool. I always like to think of it like sculpting, and a sculpture can't be done in a day, right? If you want to perfect a sculpture, you want to really get some good details on it, it's just going to be an ongoing process. It's going to take forever. And so what you start to realize is you're like, cool, I went to the gym 5 times this week. At the end of the week, I looked really good. Next week comes around and you're like, dude, I only went 4. It had a huge difference. I got to make sure I'm always hitting 5. I got to be consistent with 5. And you literally start to break it down to where every single rep in the gym of every single set of every single workout matters as equally as the next one. It matters today. It's going to matter 5 years down the line. And getting your physical fitness up, even if you don't get shredded, even if you don't get big, even if you don't find that ideal body you're looking for, just the fact that you're moving, once again, is going to trigger the release of endorphins. It's going to make you in a better mental state. It's going to help boost your confidence. And then when you start seeing results, that's going to skyrocket your confidence levels as well. So physical fitness definitely is something that shouldn't be undermined, even if it's something as simple as taking a walk every single day, a couple times a day. It's going to make a drastic difference.
That kind of falls back to or ties into the small wins. When you're at the gym, you always have a couple PRs, whether it's benching 2 plates, whether it's benching whatever it is, right?
Benching 2 plates for reps.
Yeah. You're able to get that small W. And having that ability to basically look back and be like, man, I was barely even able to lift the bar. And then now you're able to do whatever wonders that you're able to do at the gym. Came a long way. There's a whole process. There's a whole thing that you can look back on. Those multiple small wins now is all came together to who you are today. So, man, going to the gym really is overlooked. It is a huge confidence booster. You start walking with a better posture. And even at the gym, you start realizing that there needs to be breath control between sets, between reps. You start realizing that you are able to accomplish anything that you put your mind to.
It's funny. I'm looking at the time, and we've been recording for 40 minutes, 41 minutes, almost 42. But it literally felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's felt like nothing. You want to try again, closing us out?
Oh, no. Oh, from like last time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure thing.
Go ahead. It's your show, man.
All right, guys. And that wraps it up. My name is Malik.
This is your boy BB.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the King of Average podcast. And I look forward to speaking to y'all next time. Take care and have a great day.